Cooper caught themselves out of position as he gets dropped in the blink of an eye. Cooper's stuck by himself. He at least has a couple minutes to get the shields back, but it comes to an end regardless. Peterbot and Quanti, they find themselves at 2 eliminations, but still struggling to find the damage when it comes to Storm Surge. Barely above 40, but they're experts in their own mind. They know when and where to try to peek, to try to get the shots.
You saw them looking up at height. Dejan and Muzz aren't really pressuring them. And so we might see them make a play for it at some point. We know they like to play it at times. They did it so well in the first qualifying week.
Even though they're inside of the bubble, they don't want to fall out. Meeting Epic well, trying to go to the front side of the zone. Very, very similar to the way Knifer and Bylaw are playing. But they're going to have to look back here eventually. They're running out of resources, running out of builds and time as well, as Quanti and Peterbot were able to find an elimination and a refresh of their own.
What a find. Upgrade on the shotgun, slurp juice as well added. Bylaw and Knifer getting to work now. We know they needed a refresh and they find it. Unfortunately, it's not going to be one as fruitful as the one Peterbot got. And so they're still now going to be hustling and busting through the zone, but getting taken out in the backside. Knifer down to just 13 HP and a bit of time to get the minis off, but you've got to think, how much is it really going to do for him?
That's Muzz and Dejan again from the high ground. The damage from those overclock pulse rifles, that as we tune in, Peterbot going to be the one contesting it. We know Dejan just went down. Muzz trying to make a rogue play, but he gets swatted out of the sky by Peterbot, and the high ground has just changed hands at the perfect time. The last time we even seen this team in a finals lobby, they were taken over then too.
Peterbot is an absolute machine. What a shot that was. Can Knifer hit anything off that light? Dancing, dodging, weaving, and hitting down threats. Man City threats is down. That leaves Bugha all alone. But for Knifer, the implications of that are huge. It gives him a couple more extra seconds, minutes maybe, even in this game. Can he stay alive? Enough mats just to block his back. Can he hit the shot to Poyo now? No. Eventually gets taken out.
Huge elimination from Poyo, trying to continue and a siphon to keep him alive as Bugha's looking for the same thing. Luckily for him, he has very, very little mats to work with, so he can at least shield some of the damage getting tossed his way. Quanti and Peterbot not taking that elimination in the high ground takeover lightly as they continue to put pressure down on everybody below. Bugha trying to box himself up, running out of builds, running out of time as he finds somebody, hears them in front. He's looking for him, Levin. He's looking for him right now to pick up the elimination.
Bugha, just one build remaining. It's going to come down to something heroic with the shotgun, but Epic, well, stops it from happening. And he's going to keep on looking for more. Down on low ground, so many teams above him. Going to move up, but there is a team on this layer, just on the other side of this wall if he's not careful.
This is big for Epic well. We've seen them pick up the first victory last week as well in game number 1 to set the pace and the tempo. Trying to do it here, but it's Squaddle and Nick who need that big day. They need that top finish overall. They get stuck. They get smushed towards the low ground, forced to use the slurp juice maybe a little bit earlier than they hoped as Trashy gets dropped down at the right time to find that elimination. Him and Pump, they have to look for Peterbot. They spot him towards the high ground, but they go ahead and drop on the Squaddle at the perfect time, leaving Nick by himself. This is a full solo finish.
He's running into the zone. He wanted to see if there was anything on the flag, but there's nothing there for him. It's Quanti up above everybody else, and he has the slurp juice. He has some splashes to work with, and he's going to look for even more. Pump has found a medkit. Will he be able to get off in time? It looks like he will. He's going to pop it. 100 HP now. Quanti with the med miss and some chug splashes up against him, but Pump is slowly running out, desperately searching for anything else. His slap juice will give him a couple seconds extra, but it isn't going to be enough to take down Quanti.
They looked like they had every single heal in the game. Braids and Visuals get knocked back down, but waste no time trying to build up that high ground once more.
Constantly getting chopped out on height, and they're spending so many builds as a result of it. You have to make these opportunities with the pulse rifle count. I'm not too sure why he's not even trying to hit fire. They're now finally opting to use the hip fire. It was ADSing a bit too much for a moment. But with just a couple wood builds left, if somebody looks up at height, there will be a chance to chop it, but the timing, that window is slowly ticking down as the zone gets smaller and smaller. Vert and Rokane, they're not worried about height. They're worried about just staying clear on this mid-ground layer. Nobody in sight, having to use their mats very wisely. They're starting to run very, very low.
Zone's going to pull back, though, so a lot of these players are going to be able to recycle some of these builds, including Visuals, up until a certain point, because he wants to hold on to that high ground. And this is where it's more important than ever before for him to try to put down pressure from above. Don't let anybody look up. Don't let anybody know you're a solo, because in the blink of an eye, they're going to challenge it. One of those teams is going to be Muzz and Dejan. Muzz going to be the first player up, and Instantly, he makes the right decision on the side of Visuals to just concede. Don't fight for it. You still have more points to pick up, just like Edgy, as he goes in, takes down both Miro and Cooper to try to stay alive. He's going to get all that loot for himself. He's not really going to be able to take use of it just yet.
Backside of the zone, Edgy putting in that work. 6 limbs on this game. And if he's not careful, he'll run right into Vert, but with the form Edgy's in right now, he might just take him out as well.
Almost bone dry when it comes to materials, but at least he gets himself into the top 10. Luckily, Zone did pull back. He's able to recycle as much as possible. Byla and Knifer find one slipping. Unlike last game, they're hip to hip. They're doing it this time as a solo, and this could be huge and pivotal for their day.
But they need to start making more space, claiming more space on low ground if they want to be able to hold it. Knifer doing a good job. They have to drop down, start building, start claiming exactly what they will do now. And that's going to set them up once again really nicely going into these final zones. Threats trying to heal off now. Doesn't have Bugha with him. And the last of this med miss is going to be all he has to play out this game. Visuals down to 0 mats as well, and so it's going to be another game where he has to hit a big pump, and he's not even going to get the chance to.
2 for 2. The players with the overclocked pulse rifles go down. Don't really get an opportunity to utilize it, as Threat's trying to fight into the backside of Zone. And this is where it's going to come down to the wire. Vert's just looking for where these players are attempting to heal off at, and Byla go ahead and ends the run, needing a big day. This is only game number 2. This is a way to start. Deejay's trying to stop the heal off, but he gets cut short. Now it's up to Muzz. The first one's going to be cleaned up. Down to a 1v1. He's on the hunt for Knifer. Doesn't want to let this go down, but he gets it stolen away. Knifer secures the victory royale when they need it most.
And this is a game to watch for them. In terms of, yeah, we know these guys are probably going to be playing in the grand finals. We've seen already today what they can do during the moving zones. Looking for height, takes chopping it down and building up. Can they hold on to it early on from first moving, like we see some of the best height teams in all of the world do? For Moo and Scare, their job is to just try and get towards that zone, and you can see the ODM gear being used to do that. Landing towards the front side, actually landing deep in the zone. Tanking a couple ticks just to prioritize the position.
They didn't need a refresh because of material. They definitely need it now to try to pick up some heals, but with 28 points, it's going to be an interesting decision to make as placement itself is beginning to reward some players for staying alive to get into the top 25. Visual and Braid get pressured. As you hear the overclocked pulse rifle become a nightmare for some of these teams. They're going to connect Blade to what they think is safety, but just like some of the other teams in the same position, if it's not Storm Surge, it's the lack of materials forcing some altercations left, right, and center.
Are you ever safe if Reet's on your layup? You can see now, knocking on doors, nobody's answering, and they actually need Surge, just moving Surge right now. The games are stacked, the players need to start dealing damage. Reet and Epic Roll trying to rotate towards the zone, but they need to focus on hitting shots. This player's blocking them off, rotating in from congested side. So many different players in their way, and you're seeing how tough that rotation is. Epic Roll gets punished as a result. He goes down. Reet's just down to 17 HP. Needs to use all the remainder of his heals.
Yeah, because the zip line, it caused some confusion. Didn't really allow him to pop the slurp juice when he wanted. And he gets it just in the nick of time as Storm Surge almost taking him down, but he gets a second chance at life. And a shot being fired off the back of on one as Storm Surge deactivates. He's still under pressure from all angles. Huge shot being taken from the backside without any build, without any resources. He's really finding no other choice but to get to the first box he sees. Is on one under pressure from all angles. A lot of his build being expended, but with a dog being backed up in the corner, his bite is much bigger than his part.
That's one of the longest duels you'll see during the moving zones. It felt like nobody was taken out. Muzz finally being taken down. Vert and Roke once again rotating through, but they're down so low on Bills. Gonna have to try and make a play very, very shortly. Quanti and Peterbot, they're still chilling on height, but Peterbot actually gets taken down. It just remains with Quanti. Bugha's right beneath, and Bugha's trying to go back up. He has the kinetic blade, and now he has the high ground.
And with Knifer and Byla going down very, very early on, first place opened up for grabs, and I spot a couple teams needing a big day. Scented staying alive here. He's stuck as a solo, gets chunked out in the backside of zone. He gets dropped. Bugha losing threats. He tries to claim as much of the high ground as possible. He's trying to put himself in a position to where teams are forced to look up and try to find out if he's a solo or not. And he's escaped so much danger to make it into this point, along with Aegis. He gets pushed down to the low ground.
But you can see now the effects of the zone pulls, Jacob. The lobby has been so punishing to these players. So many max system pulls. Nobody has mats. Everybody just relying on their shotgun, on their ARs.
Oh, no.
Barely surviving right now, Bucky. Just a lick of HP. One tick and he's out of the game. Needs the siphon to come through, and it will. 58 HP now. It gives him a couple more seconds to work with the zone, but he has to try to drop this player down. It's Vert's there, and he misses out the player right beneath him. Aegis takes him out before going down, and Vert, with 7 in this game, he's putting the team on his back. He has the pulse rifles, and he has a 1v1 against Bugha now.
There is no heals for any one of these players to really play towards the heal off, so the inevitable is bound to happen. With Bugha low on HP, this is a play for Vert to make, and he goes up and steals away the game, tagging out Bugha, sending him to second place. With a misstep in the last game, Knifer and Byla have risen once more. But Thork, we saw Bolts go down. He's unable to make it back into the zone. He goes down in 16th place, but they inch themselves closer and closer to what they were looking for on the date. Oakus about 5 eliminations so far. Bugha threats, they're finding their way back, above, ahead of the zone. They know exactly that anything is better than that old low ground. You don't want to be stuck, especially with the natural terrains and different elevations that are low.
Yeah, and we'll see with this next zone pool how they react, but current playing on these high layers and playing it to perfection. Convict can come back though. They'll play it with the pulse rifles. We know anybody that has the pulse rifles in hand knows the opportunity, knows what it means, and it means high players can be that much easier. The problem for Comeback is he needs to calm down for a second, right? Doesn't need to lose his bearings. But now that he has found some calm, found some peace, it will be right back up to high ground.
Don't call it a comeback because he has been here along with Comic, trying to make use of the second half of the day. Same with Byler and Knifer, trying to go ahead and make up for lost time. They go ahead and already secured their spot into the top 10. They just need to hold on to it in the second half of the day, because when it comes to HP heal, they are almost bone dry as the pressure from those pulse rifles are pushing them lower and lower to the rest of the players into the lobby. For their efforts, they've at least inched themselves into the top 7 as Yuz does go down. Bugha and Threat doing everything they can, but they're out of builds, out of time as they scavenge to try to find what they can. Threats gives whatever he has left on over, which isn't much, but Bugha knows how to work with grass.
It's barely suffering mad to this player in front of his face. He needs to start thinking about hitting a shot. He hears that blip above him, but he's got to continue to go low. Sees a leave in that box, wants to dodge it. He's back up, no materials left. Can he jump in box? He's looking up, he's mantle. Knows the team's there, trying to mirror them so he stays down, but the player right behind him, it's gonna be Knifer.
Sid and Namish.
Wow.
Pushed down lower to the ground.
Wow.
Beam gets caught out. Skittles meets the same demise. 2v2 situation as Sid takes out yet another one, but Body goes down. It's up a Menace, who stands no chance for Convict and come back in those overclock pulse rifles as they steal the game.
Initially there, the spot that used to landing in zone is a nice one. Seeing Tragics have built all the way up here to ultimate height. Nobody really looking at it. Everybody just focused on what's ahead of them. Everybody focused on trying to get into the zone.
Only a handful of teams ahead of anybody that needs that top 12 spot. Zaycorn and Cole just looking for a refresh. Don't have very many builds. See their heals are not looking so hot either. Shield is going to be the name of the game, but with zone pushing them in, they're going to have to go. They're trying to be one of the first teams there. That way they go back and find some comfortability. Scented takes a massive shot, but takes some store damage. That way he can pop the sword juice. Fabs does the same, but instead of fighting this fight, they're just disengaging. They know how important survival is, and with top 14, there's still so many basic points left on the board.
They need to get themselves up around in that 120-point range to get top 12, and the limbs like that are going to send them right into that trajectory. Need to be careful. There's a team waiting for them right there, but they're able to create the space and get out of the way. These guys are going to tough for their lives. Scented leading the way. He's done so many times. Madden back deep into the zone as floppers. Will definitely be useful in someone's hands late in the game. Will he be able to make use of them? Gonna get into zone build and would use that med stop as well. But this journey continues. He can't stay there for too long.
Without this game really going heal offs, Storm Thickness really isn't a word. Players can stagger themselves in and out of zones as Chris finds another elimination, taking out Larson. Him and Spike's run come to an end. as we get ourselves into the top 10, as they continue to look down, backside of zone, trying to find anything that to work with. As Epic well read, even though they have everything in the world and more when it comes to loot and resources, they're just trying to stay ahead of the game. It's all about brag rights, practice, set yourselves up to be the legendary team you know you can be, as Acorn and Cold become the target with the pulse rifles, surviving on an inch, as Epic well are now forced to rotate.
Those guys aren't on height, but they have so much power in this lobby. Tragics and Cease are starting to run incredibly low. We saw how many materials they commit to build up for height in the first place, and now they're feeling the effects of that. A very far zone pull to finish out the game, and so it's going to get real intense for them, as they're going to probably have to start dropping down and thinking about taking a fight. When you do drop down, this team's going to be here waiting for you. It's Reed, it's Epic, and just below them as well, it's another powerhouse of the lobby of the region. It's Acorn and Cold. These two teams are going to come colliding at some point, and that time is now. Acorn and Cold are the ones before it. They're the ones hitting the shots.
And it's Yuz out of nowhere who was able to land that first shot, really separate Epic and Reed and allow for Cold and Acorn to take over as we inch ourselves into the top 4. Everybody is duos except for one player trying to keep his hope alive, as Acorn and Cold have full control of the low ground. Yuz and Chris, not ultimate high, but they're trying to escape through on that middle layer, but they get tagged up. Yuz gets dropped, but that's good trade as Cease gets taken out as well. Chris, even though he has the knock, he's unable to get Siphon to go through. That's Tragic who take another player out.
Tragic's getting some revenge as Cease was taken out moments ago. But in this fight here, it's so hard for him really to do anything against Acorn and Cold, who look so strong. I think what you've got to think will fall eventually. He does, and it doesn't even seem like Tragic's had HP to work with at all. There will be a nice and easy win. You cannot give Poyo that kind of room.
Now I know why Bugha at the start of the season was thinking about playing with somebody like that. May not be the biggest name in the scene, but now you know why. He's making a threat be so, as Bolt and Thor still need to hold on to their position here. More points for them to grab if they're looking to skip on past Search Week and book their team directly to Grand Finals. Cold and Acorn find Chris out of position. He's sent back to the lobby. So many teams has now come to an end as we get into our top 15s.
It's getting so tense. Entered, tarping through these mid-ground layers. Tell me how many times you've seen this happen. You've almost got to think at what point is he going to start looking to drop to low. That's where he's always been the most comfortable. The material running low. It's going to be just left of wood soon, and so that time might be coming at some point. Keeping an eye on all the players on these different layers. That could be a problem for them, and they're finding refreshes. It's Fab, he's looking, hunting, fishing for more materials. He's already put so much damage, so many bigger limbs this game, and he's looking for even more now. You can see them lurking here in backside, waiting. They know there's going to be plenty and they can capitalize on.
Zit two, both players on the right side of your screen. Fab scented, looking for a top 12. Bolt and Thor looking for a top 3-2. Definitely still have more points on board, and their job is not done as Miro gets taken down. Poyo and Keep still putting pressure down from above. Cooper is the target in their line of sight right now that's taking a lot of that pressure. Aviv trying to kinetic blade from the backside of zone. Only has a sliver of HP to work with, but Hope is still alive.
Zone number 12, final zone of the qualifiers of NA, and you can see Fabs is putting on a show for us. Another elite. How many more he's gonna get? He's following Scented like he's followed no other. He's staying right by his side and making sure that shotgun is out and ready to deal damage where necessary. These guys aren't leaving anything up for chance from now. Drop down that Scented falls. It's up to Fab. Can he stay alive? No! This falls in full play. Forik and Bolso, they're still alive. We know they needed a big game, and a big game's what they're gonna get. Forik going crazy, going nuts. Can't quite pick one up. He will fall, and it's Acorn and Cold once again. How many times are they still alive here?
And it's basically a 2v1 situation. Keyboard is down. It's all up to Poyo. He has no heal, so he must fight, and he must go against the previous NA champions. He gets taken down. No chance being given by Acorn and Cold as he sealed the deal in the final game of the day.
That aside, they jump into the #1 spot. Now, remembers a couple names. Top 90 will then go to Surge Week. We take a look here at the top, Bugha and Brett. So we kind of knew this kind of coming into today.
Oh my goodness. All right. This means teams fell out too, because there was teams already up above them. So a couple of teams that pushed themselves up now
as we scroll on to have a look at our top 50 now, and Thor and Bolts, 40 seconds, Zeke.